to the 40th ElectroJet Rock Show. I'm your humble host, Jett. Coming to you from Las Vegas, and I do have with me on the other line the Professor coming to you from LA. And tonight we're going to be doing Underrated or Overrated on Queen, the band Queen, legendary rock band from England, Queen. So how's it going down there, Professor, in LA?
It's going good, going good. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to our show. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for coming along for the rock and roll ride. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and share us on social media. Thanks for the support. Appreciate it.
So, P.E., what do you think of Queen? Underrated or overrated?
Oh, I guess I'd have to say they're probably just about rated correctly because most people consider them to be legendary, as you just, mentioned. And I think, when Wayne's World came out years ago, that really, they were already, solidified. That just kind of put them in,
Put them over the cliff?
Put them over the cliff and these, cultural icons, not just music icons.
Pushed them up to 11, kicked them up to 11?
Yeah. Plus, you got to figure they were around. The Beatles were around 9 years, something like that.
The Beatles would be from 1961 through 1970, early 70s.
So 9 years. Queen was 1970 to 87, 17 years, and they even kind of carried. They're still carrying on now. But if you figure the original lineup, especially with Freddie Mercury. That's 17 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
Yeah, productive through all of it with, a ton of hits and a ton of radio airplay and a ton of huge stadium concerts. So, you gotta give it up to them. And, musically, extremely talented and extremely skilled. And they put out quality product, too. Usually they weren't putting out crappy shows with a lot of, flat singing and mistakes and that sort of thing. They didn't have too many disasters that way. So yeah, I'd have to say they're rated properly, but that's because they're rated as being great. So I gotta put them up there.
So you're gonna say rated about right.
Rated about right. Yeah, I think so. I don't think most people say, "Oh, Queen, I don't know, they're not that great." Or most people, I think, hold it.
Well, we're not talking. We're talking about underrated or overrated. Don't forget.
Yeah. So I think. Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I would say they're rated just about right because most people rate them pretty high. So how about yourself?
Okay. Well, here's my take on Queen. Queen, due to the vastness of their catalog that you have talked about. I think in that sense, they're very, very overrated.
Really?
Ooh. But, yeah.
Now, explain, please.
Well, just because of, like, say, on Night of the Opera, I don't like what John Lennon used to bag on Paul McCartney about. It's sort of a similar kind of thing with Brian May's quote-unquote granny music. But
no, go ahead.
Yeah, but individually and as a band, I think they're maybe. Some of the guy, John Deacon, I think is probably underrated on the bass. Brian May, not overrated. That's for sure. He's phenomenal. Fred, no, not overrated because he's got a very complex harmonic structure in his voice that's been analyzed by engineers and stuff. And they said actually they had a bunch of 7 points that they measured a bunch of parameters, and Fred was like the highest out of any singer they tested. So I got to give it up to him there. But so I think some of the records, although I can't say I've heard them all, I don't think they're cut to cut. They're necessarily phenomenal, which is why I'm gonna say in that sense they're overrated. However, the songs that, in my opinion, as a producer might, is the great songs that they have are friggin' phenomenal, off the charts, like stellar, amazing, phenomenal, and not even so much of the obvious ones either. I love Hammer Will Fall. That one, they played that one at Live Aid, which sounded phenomenal. And then I heard one when I was out. The "Don't Stop Me Now." The Genius stuff is genius, but the granny music I don't like. So that's why I'm going to say, compositionally, they're overrated. Although I'm not completely qualified to say because I haven't listened to everything that they've done, stem to stern. The band is phenomenal as a band and as players. Brian May, phenomenal. Not overrated at all. All the accolades he gets, he deserves. So that's about it. So any final thoughts, P.E.?
Yeah, I have to say that now that you mention it, yeah, there's some of those albums where they obviously, it's not all the songs on there what I would call great, but they, with a huge catalog like that, I would think that's going to happen. But one of the earliest songs, "Keep Yourself Alive," I think that's great. "Tie Your Mother Down."
Oh, the early stuff's great, but then when they go into like the Mariner thing or whatever, I love Brighton. Yeah, Brighton Rock is phenomenal. Now I'm here. What were you gonna say?
"I Want to Break Free." But yeah, some of the stuff later on where they're kind of making social statements like, Radio Gaga and that kind of stuff.
Oh, I like Radio Gaga. I think that one's great.
For me, it's not as good as their other stuff.
It's a little sappy for you. What were you saying?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'd rather hear that than a lot of other things that I'm not going to mention, myself. I don't turn it off when it's on the radio. That's one way I kind of gauge something.
That's a good gauge. Yeah, and also as singers, they're all really, really great, and they all sound really great together. Roger Taylor, extremely underrated as a vocalist. All the high stuff on Bohemian Rhapsody. All the high stuff on Bohemian Rhapsody, that's all him. And when Fred
was kind of their Michael Anthony,
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that because like when Fred, he'd been partying too much or something and his voice was a little rough and he knew he wasn't going to be able to hit a high note or something, Roger would always duck in and save him. They had sort of a telepathy or he'd give him a nod or something like that. So anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Jett signing out with
the Professor and
Rock and Roll!